This is Spare Time Repair, and this is a Sony turntable, although it barely fits on the mat. It was rescued from a garden shed where it's been for goodness knows how many years in cold, damp conditions. You can see it's very dirty, and it was originally part of this compact hi-fi system, and I haven't been able to test it yet, mainly because it has this proprietary 12 volt DC cable. It's intended to be plugged into the back of the MIDI unit, and so I need to do some modifications in order to make it work independently, because I didn't want the rest of the unit. I don't yet know whether it works, whether it's more of a restoration project than a repair. I have taken the step of ordering a replacement belt for it, even though I haven't taken it apart yet, because I'm assuming that this is over 30 years old and the belt is probably going to be perished. I think the first step is just to remove the lid and give that a good clean. I should have said that this is the PS-LX49P. The hinges look to be intact. This one has just slipped out of the bracket there, but they're not broken, which is encouraging. So this one, yep, that just slips off. Tone arm clip still in place. I haven't ordered a new stylus for it, but they're relatively cheap if I need one. The belt feels a bit slack. It's got some mold on it, so I think I was wise to get a replacement. Some other quick observations. The hinges actually look good. The springs are good. I don't think there's any problems there. The lever for the tone arm is good, and the dampening seems to work. I've even got the cover for the stylus, so it slides on there. And the 45 RPM adapter is there also. My current plan, and I don't know whether this is realistic, but I was thinking instead of having a 12 volt supply and then wiring it into the back somehow, what if I broke this apart, took the transformer out and located it inside the device? Then I can maybe wire that to like a figure of 8 socket, and then just power it off a normal mains cord. Don't know, I just think that would be a more elegant solution. Well, it does have scratches, as you'd expect, but it's come up pretty well. There are no actual cracks. And I think these scuff marks will come out with a polishing compound of some sort. Yeah, quite happy with that. So I'm just going to give this an initial wipe before I refit the cover. And then we can turn it upside down and take the bottom off. If I can, I'd like to really dismantle this so I can scrub all the plastic with soap and water. It's going to take the platter off. It's just got this clip. It's remarkably clean, actually. This belt probably would have cleaned up actually, but maybe it's a bit slack. All the grease looks fresh. So I'm just going to refit the lid. See the scratches now. The rubber feet still feel okay. I'm assuming I need to remove all the screws with arrows next to them. Turntables are mostly mechanical, so there's very little going on in here in terms of circuit boards, wiring, components. Well, that's true of these sort of turntables anyway. I'm sure the higher end ones have got more going on. Very, very simple. So we've got our motor, and this is the only PCB in the thing, really. So this is where the DC power comes in. Gonna have to check the polarity of that. These thin wires here are from the stylus. That's the pickup, and these are the phono connectors. And then we've just got a very simple switch here, which is activated when the tone arm is moved off its rest. So that switch is wired through here and goes off to the motor. It's just really simple. And then at the front you've just got the speed adjustment and a reject button, which just works on this linkage and returns the tone arm to the beginning. And I know I said I wanted to take it apart and give everything a good scrub in soap and water, but it's so clean I don't really think I need to. So I think all I really need to do is the power modification, put the new belt on and give it a test. So I've downloaded the service manual, and it looks like the positive for the 12 volts is onto the smaller pad. It's upside down on the manual, but so the positive is to the smaller pad and the negative is here. There's definitely room maybe in this corner here to house the transformer. I don't know, I'm going to figure that out. Just going to remove this little board. Yeah, it's actually labelled up. I found this old broadband router that I don't need anymore, and it still has its power supply, which is 12 volts. So instead of my initial plan of putting a transformer inside, I think I'm just going to take the power socket out of this, mount it here, which will look quite neat, and then I can just use the transformer externally. I don't think that's a big issue. I think that's the answer. Can't see any screws in this thing. Okay, that's good. Looks nice and clean. We'll desolder easily. Well, that took longer than I expected, but I finally got it out. So I'll need to look at the best location for it. I could open up this slot, but it's right next to a screw hole. So maybe it's better to put it to the side. It'd be nice to use the existing hole if I can. It'd look neater. It just needs opening up a touch. I think I just sacrificed this screw hole. It's going to sit better if it's flush, like that. It's not where one of the feet are, so I don't think it's going to make any difference, really. Yeah, I'm going to break it off. This back panel actually sits recessed slightly, so this will stop it sitting there. So I just notch a bit out so it sits a bit deeper. Okay, that is now sitting in there, and the baseboard goes flush, so I think I'm just going to touch this up with some black paint or something, and then we can fix it in and solder it up. Just going to use some black acrylic. It's probably more of a charcoal grey than a black, but And while that's drying, let's desolder the original power cable. So in its place, I'm just going to use a very short length of this old speaker wire, and then that will just solder onto the jack socket here. So I've just stripped and tinned the ends of these, and I'm just going to pop this through here. Just notice that the phono leads coming out of this thing are very short, so I think I'm going to extend those as well. Well, just remove these and fit a new one. The plugs are pretty corroded, and yeah, I don't think this is going to reach my amplifier. First, I'm just going to glue this in. I don't think it looks too bad. I found this old lead, so I'm just going to cut the plugs off one end and solder it into the board. And this is about a meter long, which is plenty. Okay, I think we're almost in a position to test. Just going to wash the slip mat before I do the test. So I've cleaned up the slip mat, but it's gone this strange milky white colour in places, which doesn't look great. I thought I'd try the shoe shine trick that I've tried in the past to sort of clean up dull surfaces. Whatever oil is on here is so light that I don't think it's going to affect any records that are placed on here. It should sort of dry off anyway, so let's see if this works. Well, I think we can agree that is a dramatic improvement. It feels completely dry to the touch. It's just enough to get rid of those marks, and yeah, almost looks as good as new. And I've done the same on the back, even though you'll never see it. Right, if it looks a bit damp, it's because I've just been over it again with a wet wipe. I've removed the lid, and I'm going to fit the new belt that I ordered. Yeah, that does feel tighter than the other one. So to do this, you just put it around the platter base. You don't have to worry about getting it too even because it'll naturally find its own path. Then we just use a small screwdriver to hook the belt around the motor. So now I can plug my power cord into my new socket, which feels very solid, and hopefully we'll have some action. Change the speed. I've actually got one of those apps on my phone to adjust or to check the turntable speed, so let's try that. Right, we'll check 33 first of all. That's a bit slow, and so is that. But as you probably noticed on the bottom, there were speed adjustment pots. So I'm just going to half hang it off the edge of the table so that I can get a screwdriver in there. Probably shorted it against the case because it's a metal screwdriver. Right, I've just put a bit of heat shrink on this smaller screwdriver, so that should stop any shorts. Well, it's a little inconsistent, but that's close. Got to bear in mind the weight of the phone might affect the speed as well. So I think I'm happy with that. Might also be because it's not quite level because it's hanging off the edge of the table, but again, that looks... Ah yeah, if I level it up, that looks a lot better. I'm going to try this metal polish to try and get the marks off the lid of the record player. This is mildly abrasive, so might work. I just found this scratch remover which I'd forgotten that I had, so that might be better. 5000 grit sandpaper, maybe? This is wet and dry. Well, after quite a lot of buffing, that, to my eyes, is now looking significantly better. All of the deep scratches are gone. Well, most of them. I'm quite happy with that. I've got this slightly odd 7-inch single, which hopefully shouldn't hit a content match. So see if the stylus is any good. Sounds pretty good. And the reject button. does what it should do. Perhaps I'll be safe with this as well. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It's not a brilliant turntable. It's basic even for the time, but certainly does a job and will do as a nice backup. Okay, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.